Hello, how are you guys today? If you have kids that come to work spellings like this or this and they say the wrong thing, then you need to tune in today to Reading Simplified, where you are right here, to find out a quick and easy way to cope with this problem. We are in our Spring Forward Challenge, a 25-day event where you can win prizes and get some freebies like this full 25 days of lesson plans. And really, if you started with us at the beginning, you could be on week 4. And in week 4, we moved from short vowels into teaching advanced phonics. And we talked about this sorted activity. And if you were here earlier, you learned how we teach advanced phonics like the long vowel O, and sort by spelling, and also by remembering a key sentence, such as, go home to show the boat to Joe. So that sentence, go home to show the boat to Joe, has key words that are high frequency that teach the main spellings of O and are sorted in a way that helps the child quickly remember those spellings. So that's how you sort of introduce the concept that our language has spellings that can have, or sounds that can have many spellings. It's complicated. But we had a great reader question. She said, well, my kids haven't been, they're kindergartners, they haven't been introduced to the long vowels yet, but they know this spelling as ow, and you're teaching it up here as O. What do I do? Okay? What do you guys think? What would you do so that you don't teach them a lot of rules, you don't teach them a lot of confusion? What's the fastest way to cope with this? Because this will come up a lot. This can be O as in know, like I know something, or show, or slow. It can also be ow as in cow, or down, or brown. So what's a kid to do? This is even worse. You know, this is probably as E, maybe if you know it as A, even as in great, or even as in bread, if you're a real phonics geek. So that's hard to deal with, especially when with Reading Simplified, we're talking about getting kids really quickly into advanced phonics, because with the tools that you have, with a couple of key activities such as switch it and read it and sort it, they can handle it really early, and earlier than other traditional reading programs. But then there's still this variation, this unpredictability of our language. So what are you to do? So if you're just tuning in, so glad you're here. Say hi, say where you're from. Let me know if you've been doing the Spring Forward Challenge. If you haven't gotten the Spring Forward Challenge, it's 25 days of lesson plans for a beginner or a struggler who is working at the early first grade level. But even if you don't use the exact format for that level, if your kid's a little higher, your students are a little higher, the orchestration of the activities is a great entree into Reading Simplified. And also along the way, you get great freebies. Just by clicking into each of these pages, you'll get access to more freebies. So this freebie unlocks other freebies. So Diane, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Good to see you too. Anyone else want to say hi? I'm so glad you're here. So let's get into the answer to this question. Okay, so a student sees this. Hi, Alita. A student sees this and she says, and it's the word cow, and maybe she just did this activity, and so she says co, and she looks at you, and you could give her the word. You could just say cow, and that's what happens a lot of time. But you could also use this moment as a teaching moment. So here's what I recommend. You say, well, co, that doesn't quite fit, right? The farmer and the co, and you know, you look at her and you make a little joke, and you both are amused. So then you point with your pencil, say, what else could this be? And then hopefully she can figure out that it could be ow, as in cow. And if she can't figure it out, that's fine. Then say, well, try ow. So that's your backup. Try ow. And then so she reads cow, and then you're like, interesting. So Sorry if I lost you guys. I had a little trouble with my signal. So say you've done that and she figures out that it's cow. Great. Now is a great time to teach her the flex it strategy. That's the next strategy that kind of lives on top of blend as you read. So the blend as you read strategy is taught in the Spring Forward Challenge under the activity Read It. So if you don't know what I'm talking about with blend as you read, go back to that Spring Forward Challenge and you'll find out more. But after we teach blend as you read, then flex it is the next great strategy that your student will need. And so you can kind of give them the discovery opportunity to learn how to flex it. So what I like to do is have my students write on a board all the spellings of O that they know. So first I introduce them to all these O's. So they've done that, and maybe they've actually encountered this problem where it could be O or it could be ow, or maybe you're just doing this as another lesson after they've learned some of the O spellings. So you say, do you remember that key sentence for O? Something about a boat? And they hopefully come up with go home, show the boat to Jeff. Okay, I want you to write all of the O spellings that you can remember. Okay, starts with go. Go, just the O spelling, O, go home, show the boat to Joe. Okay, great. So you've written, look at all those O's. Now, maybe they've also done sort it, the same activity, but with the ow sound, and that key sentence is now get out. It's a crocodile eating a monkey. So then you would say, well, what about that key sentence? Let's see, go, now get out. So they write, now get out. And you could say, now, I wonder if you see the problem that I see. What do we have here and here? What's this? O as in show, and this is now as in cow, and ow as in now. So what are we going to do when we come to that spelling? It can be O or it can be ow. What are you going to do? So this is a discovery moment for the student. And a lot of kids are really clever, and they say, some of them can figure this out. You ask your whole class or a small group of students, some of them will figure it out. And you ask that question, what do you do when you come to the spelling? If it can be O or it can be ow. And you prompt them to say, well, I tried one. If it doesn't work, I'll try another. Exactly right. That is the flex it strategy. And if you can get your students to articulate it and then put it into practice in word work activities, or, and most importantly, during guided reading, so it transfers into real reading, you are on the road to having a great reader. Because flexing it, moving those sounds in and out of words, is really a hallmark of good readers. We come to a word we don't know, and we play around with the sounds in the word, and we come up with something that makes sense. And it starts, the foundational ability to do that starts with switch it, which is one of the first activities that we encountered in our Spring Forward Challenge. Because you have to say the word fan, and you switch it from fan to fun, you have to pull out that and plug in the And that phonemic manipulation required to do that is really creating cognitive flexibility, of quick thinking that allows you to deal with this problem, and all the other problems that you're going to encounter in multi-syllable words. Just think about all the different ways, for instance, the letter I can be pronounced in a multi-syllable word. Pretty much it can represent any vowel sound. Sometimes it's E, sometimes it's I, sometimes it's It's crazy. So you have to be able to flex it. Try one sound, O. If it doesn't work, try another. So there's, after they've discovered that, then you can give them a little activity that's simply sorting the words. You could do it with something like this, that's kind of tactile, with different sorting compartments, or it could just be on a board or a piece of paper or on the floor with, painter's tape. So give the kids a handful of words that have this spelling, but they are going to sort them into columns based on the O sound and the ow sound. Okay? So they would look at this word and they would say, co? No, that doesn't make sense. It must be cow. Okay, put it in the column under ow. What's that word? If it's not shall, it's show. Okay, put it under that column. So they take that one spelling and they sort it by that is about all that it takes to develop the Flex-It strategy, and then encourage them to continue trying that when they're reading in a book. So they come across the sentence, the cat was brown. Okay, and so they're very young and they maybe not recognize brown at a glance. So when they get here and they say brown, you just say, well, what else could it be? And if they can't figure it out, well, then you point to it with your pencil and you say, try ow. And so they're putting it into practice in the context of real reading and guided reading. And if it's giving them a hard time, then go back to having them sort by sound. And most kids pick up this strategy because it works for them if you've given them the Switch It foundation, that strong, sound simple foundation. Hi, Alexis, I'm glad you're here. If you guys have any successes with this activity or you've seen this problem before, let me know, because I want to hear how it strikes you and what are the real world things that you need answers to. Oh, thank you, Angela. You said that she loves what she's learning from these videos. That's awesome. So what I was going to say is that once the kid gets the Flex-It strategy, you don't have to do this sorting activity that often. It can be fun and it can be good for independent centers, but it's a strategy that they want, and they don't need, thank you, and that they don't need to probably practice a ton other than in the context of real reading. However, there are some kids who are slower with developing that cognitive flexibility, particularly children who have some learning disabilities. They're going to find it harder to be cognitively flexible and quick enough. So then you probably want to get more tactile and do the sorting by sound more frequently. Okay, so these are the two spellings that I use a lot, the OW and the EA. This one can be three sounds, E, and A. Those are the main ones. The E as in each, the A as in great, and the as in bread. So Alexa said that sorts have helped her son. Awesome. She's in the classroom and she's also doing it with her son, so it's a great synergistic thing there going for Alexis. Awesome. And Diane says that she's got a student who needed help with advanced phonics and he couldn't read clouded. That is kind of hard, dead at the end. I said try ow, but she still had difficulty. She still has trouble with nonsense, and she has trouble with nonsense switch it. Okay, so it sounds like you probably are, I'm inferring that you are understanding that since you connected the advanced phonics to the switch it, that she is having trouble with that cognitive flexibility, and that pulling a sound out and putting in a new sound in a word that starts with CL, which is that complex consonant combination at the beginning, that's a lot to handle. So you could cover up the ED and just focus in on cloud and try to help her through it, which I bet you did. But also, I think you're right, zeroing in more on the hardest level of switch it, which happens to be nonsense word, which is appropriate for her because she's older. She's about 10, I think, if this is the one I'm remembering. That's great. Yeah, so if she needs more switch it back and forth from switch crisp to crist to crust to clust, and all that switching of all the spellings and all the positions, that will help her with advanced phonics, and then it'll help her later with multisyllable. But also if she maybe more explicit sorting with a few of the advanced phonics by sound when they can be the same spelling, that might be especially helpful for that type of student. What other comments do you guys have? That's really all that I have that's important to understand at this level. Once you've introduced sort it, you've taught the O sound, and maybe you've taught ow, or maybe they've just encountered this problem because they see this as ow and you've just taught them O. Or our reader's question was, hey, I haven't taught O at all, but they've been taught ow. How do I cope with it? So really, it comes back to getting them to discover, it can be O, it can be ow, what am I going to do? I got to try one. If it doesn't work, try another one. Try to make meaning and then use that strategy from here on out. That's why it's so awesome if you have a text that's too hard for the student and you're there in a small group and you can give them feedback, because you can point to the thing that they don't know, and that's because they might not know, did I have a problem with this? Did I say D and it should have been B? Or did I get something wrong here? They don't know where the problem is. So just by pointing to it, you're zeroing in their attention. And if they have to have the cue that this is ow, then that's a little bit of extra help. But along the way, they're developing more and more cognitive flexibility to attack unknown words. And so this is not just great that they've learned how to do the word brown. This incident where this child started out with brown and turned it to brown, that's a lot. It represents a lot more mental stuff than just one word. This is basically changing brain cells, building more neural networks that tells the child, oh, I've got to play with the sounds and the words. I've got to make meaning. I've got to pull a sound out and put one in. And that's how reading works when I don't know a word. So Alexa said that her son learned them at school, but she's trying to explain not all the time. Not sure I got that, Alexa, so tell me more, because I'd love to hear more. Oh, maybe I missed it at the beginning. I see what you said. Your son always says ow, always comes at the end. Oh, ow at the beginning? Okay. Oh, okay. So her son was taught that he has more intensive phonics than some kids in America have. He was taught that this would be appropriate at the end, as in cow. Thank you, Alexis. Yes, I finally figured it out. This is ow, as in cow, at the end. The other spelling for ow, O-U, is more likely in the middle, or at the beginning, like an out. And that is generally true. But that doesn't help you cope with the problem of seeing it as show or slow. So some rules like that are good general guidelines, but they still leave us with this problem of more than we can explain through rules. Like, there is no rule as to whether or not this is O or ow. None of us have that of a rule by that, because other than just memorization and experience. So then we have to have a Flexit strategy. And I'd love for you to think about that. Do you have a Flexit strategy when you are reading challenging the material? Say you read some kind of medical term that you've never come across, or a Russian word, or some just fancy word that you get in a Pulitzer Prize winning novel that you've never read, you didn't learn for the SAT. Do you play around with the sounds and wonder, like, is that vowel A or is it because you've never heard the word before? Or maybe you play around with it and then oh, I think I've heard that word before, even though you might not know what it means. So there could be this kind of subtle, deep-seated exposure to a word somewhere in your brain, and that's all it takes to be able to at least pronounce the word correctly. That's how I figured out, I remember pterodactyl. Nobody had taught me PT, for instance, was T, but I must have at some level, somewhere, had heard the word pterodactyl, but never seen it in print. And in that moment when I looked at the PT, and I was like, what the heck? But the rest of the word looked like aerodactyl. I had seen that part before. Then my brain said, oh, that must be that thing that you've heard before. And then I learned, oh, PT must be T. So that was my brain flexing that thing. Okay, so Alexa says that she plays with the words so he can see how the words work. Yeah, and breaking it down like this, and like the sorted activity, and saying each sound as they write it, that is so powerful. So your children and your students really do hear each sound in the word. That is great. Okay, so for instance, when the child writes boat, she says boat. The whole time she's writing O, the whole spelling of it, O-N-A, she should be saying O. So if you have been doing the Spring Forward Challenge, it's coming to a close in 11 days, so you have a chance to win. So keep working if you're still in school. If you're not in school, get your comments up there on the original post where this came from, and I think I forgot to include it, but you can find it at readingsimplified.com. It's the first thing that'll come up, the Spring Forward Challenge. And by June 15th, post your experiences with this challenge, whether you did one activity, whether you did 2 activities, whether you did all 4 weeks, whatever it is. There is really everybody is welcome to post, because we're just going to look at the context of your situation, how challenging the circumstances, how many days you had, and what you were able to accomplish in terms of transforming your understanding or transforming your students as readers. And we'll pick some winners, and we have 3 prizes. The 3rd place prize is for everybody. That includes you. Just by commenting, you get an extra sorted packet. So with this activity, you guys have already been given the O sound and all of its texts that go with it to help kids transfer to real reading. But you'll get the same kind of materials, but for the E sound. This is for very effective for kindergarten and 1st grade readers, this particular set of materials. In the Reading Simplified Academy, which the 1st place prize winner will get, we have the same types of materials, but we have harder and harder words and harder levels. If you have kids that still need to do the same activities, but need to be given harder material. So 3rd prize, as I mentioned, everyone wins the sorted packet. 2nd prize is several sorted packets, I think 5. And first place is 3 months free to the Reading Simplified Academy, which really is going to be plenty of time to learn how to teach anyone to read. This is the material in the Reading Simplified Academy that I wish that I had when I got my reading specialist license or when I got my master's. This is information and a streamlined path to learning how to teach reading that I never had. And so I think in 3 months you can totally master it and know how to teach anyone, whether he be a beginner or a struggler, in a much simpler way. So, so Alexis is saying, oh, Alexis earlier had talked about how her son had trouble with sit. I think he was able to get sit, but couldn't get sis, and we talked about why that might be in an earlier post, and great, he's getting it now. And so, yes, if she mentions, can she write a reflections for this Spring Forward Challenge on week 1? Absolutely. Wherever you're coming from, whatever you were able to do. I know Alexis's students went to summer vacation a long time ago, so but she's trying for the big prize. Excellent, Alexis. You've been with us for a long time, so my best to you. But all of you, remember, everyone will be winning at least something just by putting up a few comments, a few words. So, oh, Angela says, Alexis, if you don't win, it is so worth being part of it. It's fabulous and so much amazing information. Thank you, Angela. I'm really honored to have you say that, and it's great to have you a member of the Reading Simplified Academy, along with Diane, who I know was here earlier. So I think I should wrap up, unless there's any other questions or comments. Thank you, Alexis. The Flexes strategy was today's main trick. Think about my homework for you, besides preparing for the Spring Forward Challenge and getting your comments up there. I'd like for you to think about, as you read, do you flex it? Do you play with sounds, pull a sound out and put a new sound in? And if that's a strategy that you can use to be a good reader yourself, are you going to be able to find ways to help students develop that ability themselves, transfer it from word work activities into real reading throughout all of your guided reading episodes or whole class reading? That's really kind of the vision for how this activity or this strategy can really serve your kiddo. So I hope that this was helpful in kind of wave 2 about how to handle advanced phonics, and I will be back soon to wrap up kind of some of the big ideas of the Spring Forward Challenge, which is really kind of the representation of the core activities that we teach in Reading Simplified. So Diane says she has a new student. Yay, I look forward to hearing about that. So Diane can write to me in the Teachers Lounge, which is one of the key features of the teachers of the Reading Simplified Academy, and I can hear what's his or her needs, and she can get some tips from me and other teachers who are also in the community. Okay, Alexis says you are loving being a member, in this community, so that's great. Oh, thank you, that's very kind. Okay, so this student has had a lot of different intensive phonics programs, and so, okay, that's very interesting. So he did a program that's in my old hometown, which is Orton, Gillingham base, and also Barton. Okay, so I would start, and how old is he, Diane? Definitely you need to start with Switch It, because I'm sure he's well past Build It. He must know the letter sounds and the consonants and the short vowels. So I would definitely start with, switch it probably with 4 or 5 sounds. Get a lesson ready with 4 or 5 sound words, real words though, for the first day. And then we also probably should talk about testing, because it'd be probably good to know what else is going on, like what kind of fluency issues are going on there. Oh, and he's 10. Yeah, definitely we'll have to talk about the assessment. We had talked about that before. But just in general, the generic thing that I find all the time with those kinds of students is that switch it is really, really helpful, and then saying the sounds as they write it. So probably after they get into sort it and doing this type of thing, doing a lot of write it as well, and making them realize that they have quite a lot of sound-based information that they can transfer. I hear the word cat and I can translate that, even though I don't remember how to spell it. I can translate that at, and getting that connection between sound and symbol kind of routinized or made into a routine from what they actually realize they have the ability to do, and get it down on paper, because at first it will be hard, because they probably will have been taught not to write something unless they're confident of the spelling. And this is, you need to break them of that and be more encouraging of, hey, what sounds do you hear? And really tune them into the sound symbol processing. And then also you probably want to look at the sight words. He's definitely, if he's 10 and he's had all that intense instruction, he definitely has a phonological processing problem, but he may also have a visual processing problem. So disentangling which one of those is the bigger issue may help you kind of guide how long it's going to take. Either way, you start with the phonological problem, the sound processing thing, which is what switch it will help you with. And then if you recognize that he has a visual problem, which you can probably tell based on how many sight words he knows, then that will just tell you, well, this is going to take longer. That's really the only difference. And then after you kind of clear up the phonological problem, and you can get sound and symbol processing working really quickly, then you put more effort into fluency building and rereading the same text, particularly those quick reads texts, which we have talked about before. If you've never heard of that and you're interested, go check out Quick Reads by Elfrida Hebert. It's produced by Pearson. It's a great series for building fluency. Once a kid is strong with their sound symbol decoding and they're functioning at the late first grade, mid second grade level, they can build up a lot of sight words that way, because they have a strong sound symbol decoding foundation. But you don't really want to work on fluency until that foundation is solid. Okay, so you know he's got memory problems, yeah. So, and there's a few other things that we can think of to talk about, but first work out the phonological baseline. Okay, I'm so honored that you guys have been here. I'll be back soon. Oh, and you've got 6 quick reads, great. If you missed this live, feel free to put some comments in the questions, and I can keep the conversation going with you and answer other questions. Or again, let me hear your successes in the Spring Forward Challenge. And if you found this to be helpful, maybe you want to share it with your friends. Maybe you want to share it out to all of your friends, or just tag a friend, because not only are we giving some tips here that help cope with advanced phonics, but they have some access through what we've said and what's posted to some freebies. So which teacher doesn't like some good freebies? Thanks for tuning in, you guys. We'll be back soon.